Right, so again, welcome to another segment. So my video cut, so I want to actually, restart the question number one there, looking at geometric progression, how you can find, these particular questions in the exam. So it says that given that the geometric progression, they have given you the geometric progression, which is 4, 8 and 16. Then it says find the geometric mean of that. So they want you to find the geometric mean of 256 and 1024. So remember the geometric mean of two numbers, which we called, if the numbers in this case, you have A, B, C. To get the geometric mean, which is B, you just need to find the square root of A times C. So that is what we mean. So in this case, you need 256 multiplied by 1024, and whatever you get, you find the square root. So the geometric mean there is going to be, so when we multiply 256 multiplied by 1024, it is giving me 262,144. Then we find the square root of that. So therefore, what is the square root of the answer that we have there? It is giving me a 512. So therefore, that is what we are calling as being the geometric mean. Then the B part there says you find the 11th term. So how do you find the 11th term? So this is where now you are going to use that sequence 4, 8, 16. So that is what you're going to do. So in this term, the first term is simply a 4. Then you can get your common ratio. What is the common ratio that you have there? So the common ratio that you have there, it is simply 8 divided by 4, which is simply going to give you a 2 there. So that's the common ratio that you are going to have. Right, so since they want to find the 11th term, it simply means when n is equal to 11, so find the term in the 11th position. So you apply the formula there, Tn is equal to the first term, the common ratio raised to n minus 1. So remember our n is 11, which is equal to the first term, which is a 4 multiplied by what's my common ratio, 2, but raised to 11 minus 1. That's what we mean there. So it will be T11 will be equal to 4 multiplied by, remember, 11 minus 1, that will give us, a 10 there. So you can work out what is 2 raised to the power 2 raised to the power 10. So if I look at that, 2 raised to the power 10 there, it is giving me 2 raised to the power, it is 2 raised to the power 10. That is giving me 1024. So 1024 multiplied by this 4, it is simply giving me a 4096. So the term in the 11th position is simply a 4096. So that is how you can go about that. So please pay attention as you carry out your calculation. Let's move on to the C part, number 1C there. So number 1C, for the same sequence that they have given us so far, we know our first term is a 4. We know our common ratio is simply a 2 there. So now they want you to find the sum of the first 11 terms. So when your n is equal to 11, what would be Sn, the sum? Now you need to ask yourself, remember, when you look at the common ratio that I have, this common ratio is actually greater than 1. So if it is greater than 1, I told you the formulas that you need to apply. So Sn is equal to, remember they also give you, you can check in front of the question paper, the second page, you'll find some of these formulas are there. So it will be the first term, then r raised to the power n minus 1 over 1 minus r. Why do we use this one? Because our common ratio is greater than 1. You can see our common ratio there is a 2. So we just need to substitute S. What is my n? 11. The first term is 4. My common ratio is 2, but raised to the power 11 minus 1. Whatever we get over, the common ratio is 2 minus 1. So it will be S11 is equal to 4. You can work out what is in the bracket there. what is 2 raised to the power 11 minus 1? So 2 raised to the power 11 there is giving me 2048, but that is when you, so after carrying out this one, you subtract it with the 1 over, what is 2 minus 1? It's a 1 that we have. So S11 will be equal to 4. Remember, this times minus that 2048 minus 1, that is going to give me a 2047. Remember, it's over 1. If you want, you can neglect that one because 1 into that will just give you the same. So let's just put it there. So it will be minus 1 multiplied by 4. So it is going to give us 8,188. So meaning the sum, if you add the first 11 terms together, it will give you 8,188. So that is the way you can go about that. So please be careful when you're finding the sum. Look at the common ratio. If the common ratio is greater than 1, that's the formula that you apply. But if your common ratio, like I said, if your common ratio is less than 1, then you apply a 1 minus r raised to the power n over 1 minus r. So this is only used when your common ratio is less than 1, like a fraction, in this case a proper fraction. All right, let's look at question number 2 there. Let's try to look at question number 2. So for question number 2 there, it says for the geometric progression. So again, they have given us a geometric progression 20, 5, 1, 1 over 4, and it goes so on and so forth. So that is what they have given us. Now, if you notice from the question there, the question says we find the common ratio. So the first one, they want us to find what is our common ratio, then B, the nth term, then C, the sum of the first 8 terms. So how do we go about that? Remember what we said, when you are getting the common ratio, it is simply you divide the term by the preceding one. So this is 5 divided by 20. So what is 5 divided by 20? You can just reduce that 5 there, 1, 5 there is a 4, 1 over 4. Of course, you can use that, but some people also prefer using a decimal number. So 1 divided by 4, you can have a 0.25. But of course, sometimes I'll be working with what we are calling as being a decimal number. So it could be, if you want, 1 over 4 or 0.25. That is your common ratio. Then B says that we find what we are calling as being the nth term. Remember, the nth term, I told you, you substitute the first term in that sequence, which is a 20. Your common ratio that you have is a 1 over 4. You do not know what your n is. So they want you to, to find, Tn. So the nth term, when you don't know n, because n can occupy any position. So you apply the general formula for the nth term, a r raised to n minus 1. So that is what we do. So basically, when I look at that one, it is going to be t. I do not know what my n is. My first term there is a 20 multiplied by, what is my r? It is 1 over 4 raised to the power n minus 1. Remember what I told you? You can work out just your laws of indices. That is what you can do. So I can maybe simplify that one a bit further if you want. If you're struggling, leave it there, but you can still work it out in the exam. They would want you to try to simplify it. So Tn is equal to 20. Remember, according to the laws of indices, when I said a over b raised to the power n, that can be the same as a raised to the power n and b to the raised. So that's the meaning of this can be written. So in a similar way, it's like you have got 1 raised to n minus 1 over, it's like that 4 will be raised to n minus 1. That's what we mean when you expand that. So it will be Tn is equal to 20. Remember, 1 raised to n minus 1 will just give you 1 over 4n minus 1. Remember that 20 can be written over 1. So therefore, Tn will be equal to this times that is a 20 over 1 times that to give you 4 raised to n minus 1. So if you want, you can leave it that way. Please don't be tempted to multiply 20 times 1 over 4. That is wrong, because this 1 over 4, the quarter is connected to n minus 1. So you cannot multiply 20 times that. It is wrong to actually do that. Those are common mistakes that people make. So this is the formula for the nth term. Let's conclude and look at the C part. And the C part there says the sum of the first 8 terms. So 2C, they want us to find the sum of the first 8 terms. So remember, our first term in that sequence is a 20. Our common ratio is 1 over 4, which is the same, like I told you, 0.25 when you divide it. And since the sum of the first 8 terms, meaning when n is equal to 8, they want you to find Sn there. So that is what we are doing there. Now, which formula am I going to apply? Well, when you look at this one, your common ratio is actually less than 1, because you can see when you change it to the decimal, it is 0.25. So it's less than 1. So the formula that you apply when the common ratio is less than 1 is A, then 1 minus r raised to the power n over 1 minus r. We apply this one when our common ratio is less than 1. And this is what we are going to do there. So it will be S8 will be equal to the first term, which is 20. Then that will be 1 minus, in this case. There's no problem, you can use a fraction, but if you're not conversant with fraction, you can use a decimal. You can use a decimal number. That is very much okay. So that would be like 1 over 4. If you want to put a decimal number, this raised to the power n, my n is 8. I enclose in bracket over. Just to differentiate, maybe let me use these square brackets to the outer ones. Then the one I'm replacing, I've used 1 over 4. So it will be 1 minus, again, 1 over 4. So it's just a matter of using your mathematical gymnastic. You are allowed to use a calculator in the exam. So that will be 21 minus. You can work out 1. You can simply say 1 over 4, close brackets raised to the power 8. What is that giving me? Well, it's giving you a very big number. That is why sometimes you can change it to a decimal point. But of course, let's try to work out that it will be 1 over, 655, 36 over, what is 1 minus 1 over 4? Well, 1 minus 1 over 4 is going to give me 3 over 4. 3 over 4 changing to a decimal number is the same as 0.75. That's what you can do. So even this one, there's no problem. You can change it to a decimal number. So it will be 1 minus that. So 1 minus 1 over 65,536. So that's what you do. So it is giving me on top, when I work out this one there, it is simply giving me 0.99991, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. Okay, let me leave it there, over 0.75. Okay, allow me to bring it into this direction there. So it will be this number that I got multiplied by 20. I'm simply getting S8 is equal to, I'm getting 19.99, which is the same as 20. Let me just say 20.0 over 0.75. So that number divided by 0.75, yeah, so 20 divided by 0.75, it is going to give you 26.7. So that is the way it is going to give you. So 26.7 is the correct value. So that is the sum of the first 8 terms. Please, you just need to be persistent. If you're not comfortable with fractions, use a decimal number. That is very much okay, in the exam. Thank you so much. See you as I teach you some more practice, questions under geometric progression.